Welcome back to Chief Studios. My name is Taylor Bell, and week 10 is in the books. My oh my, what a fantastic weekend of football. And that's not even including the college football games on Saturday. But we are on a Tuesday afternoon, hot off of the last game of week 10, the Monday night game between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. A tale of basically two different teams and seasons and momentums. The Bills steadily look like they are declining, and surprisingly, the Broncos look like they are getting better week by week, which is surprising because um, as you know, I think it was week 2 or 3. They get blown out by Miami by 70 points. A 70-point loss. Like you really don't ever see that in professional football, and occasionally see that in college football, which is understandable the way offense is rolling, but in their overtime, right? Because you can score 20 something points in overtime alone, 30 points in overtime alone. It's happened, right? But really incredible what Sean Payton has done this season in Denver. Obviously, like I said, mentioned that 70-point loss, a abysmal start to the year. Russell Wilson looks like he's headed to for the trash can. It looked like Sean Payton made the wrong choice as far as what team he wanted to go to and coach. And I mean, just looked like an absolute dumpster fire. Looked like they were going to have to cut Russell Wilson at the end of the year. I doubt anybody would trade for him at that point. And just defensively, they could hang their hat on a decent defense. And offense for Denver just struggled. Now, the last 3 or 4 weeks looks like things are turning the tide for Denver. Now, Russell Wilson's not back to the 2016, 2017, or even 2018 Russell Wilson, but at the beginning of the year and last year, just looked like he completely fell off the cliff athletically. And over the last 3 or 4 weeks, you see glimpses of the old Russell Wilson. You see him do what he does best. Improvise. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes such a fantastic player to watch. Lamar Jackson. Russell Wilson was maybe the best quarterback when he was performing at a high level a few years ago. Bootlegs, scrambles. When the play breaks down, he'll either break off a long run or he'll throw a absolute rainbow for a touchdown pass. Now, you're not getting much of that this year, but you have seen glimpses of that over these last few weeks. So, is there life left in him athletically? Possibly, but I'm really surprised at the coaching job that Sean Payton has done. Really incredible to hold that team together. I don't care what team you have, what coach you have, front office, the what franchise you have. The when you get blown out, and not just by 20, 30 points, we're talking 70 points. It has to be absolutely demoralizing. And the team would probably at that point, I think it was like week 3, 2 or 3, and we knew they were going to be being bad coming into the season. Just would have demoralized any team, but proves that if you have a good coach that knows what he's doing, knows it's a long road. The season is a long season, right? It goes by quick. We're already going through week 10. To the viewers, it goes fast. Players and coaches understand. Look, it is a long season. Stuff will happen throughout the year, but give credit to Sean Payton. Stay on the grind. Keep your head down. Work. Study the film. Work. Practice what makes you good, and it's really shown. We'll have to see where the rest of the season goes. I doubt they're going to make the playoffs, but if Denver can finish just somewhere around 500, I think that will give them some sort of good spirits going into the next season. Now, next year is when Russell Wilson's new contract kicks in. But who knows? We'll have to see. They might stick with him. We'll just have to see how he plays for the rest of the year. But they are trending up, and if things continue, they are going to stick with Russell Wilson. They're just going to have to, and they should get better. But we will see. Now, credit to them. But on the opposite side of things, Buffalo. What is going on in Buffalo? Now, this morning, we just got news that they fired Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator, and it is not looking good. They are trending down. Josh Allen looks like he has regressed. They're making all sorts of mental mistakes. Actually, one of the mental mistakes last night cost them the game. Denver won by a field goal last night, but to get that field goal, Buffalo got called for a 12-men on the field penalty on defense. And Denver missed that kick that they had Buffalo had the penalty on, moved the ball 5 yards closer to the end zone. Denver re-kicks that field goal and wins the game. So it's not looking good. You can't have, even though Denver is trending up and playing a little better, if you're Buffalo, you're expected to go to the playoffs. You are expected to have, 11, 12, 13 wins this year. They have some really good talent on that team. And I believe last night's loss to Denver at home puts them right at 500. I believe somewhere right around there. Josh Allen looks like he has regressed. It looks like to me, now I'm not an expert, but just from the naked eye, from a fan's perspective, it looks like to me the mental mistakes are sticking with him play to play, series to series, game to game, and now I guess season to season. The really good quarterbacks like CJ Stroud, he's playing fantastic. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. You can have an interception, but you absolutely have to forget about it. You have to forget about that interception and move on to the next play. It looks like to me, Josh Allen has got some kind of mental lapse. Now, he's not the most accurate quarterback. He might have one of the, top 2 or 3 strongest arms in the game as far as how the velocity, how hard he can throw a football. But it appears to me he's pushing the ball. He's trying to make things happen when he shouldn't. He's selecting the receiver to throw the ball to when he shouldn't. Just way too many mistakes, and it's showing. What I think is going to happen, as you can tell, I think today's firing of one of the more prominent coaches on the team means that they put everybody on notice. Meaning, look, if we don't turn this around soon, like right now, they're going to clean house. I believe that if they continue on this same trajectory of being a 500 team, I believe they're going to fire the coaching staff, right? You can't really you can bring in new players, but you're not going to get rid of Josh Allen, right? Talent, you can change a few players, but it's going to be coaching. I think they're going to obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I would hire an offensive minded head coach. Who? I have no idea, but I believe they're going to clean house if they don't play better and start winning and or getting into the playoffs. I believe that they're going to clean house and move on to a newer head coach, somebody that can help Josh Allen in the quarterback position so he can play better. It's just not acceptable at this point. Now, moving into some of the other prominent games from this past weekend, week 10 in the NFL. As you can tell, my thumbnail reads Chiefs win on a bye week. Now, technically, you can't get a win on a bye week, but what they did do is they did secure the number 1 position in the AFC. The Ravens lost to the Browns, and the Chiefs secured the number 1 spot in the AFC, having the best record in the American Football Conference. Now, We'll see how long that stands. The Chiefs have a very tough game against the Philadelphia Eagles this Monday night. Very strong team. Now we will review that more as we get closer to next Monday, to this Monday. But just recapping some of this past week's game. Let's see here. Let me share the screen, and we will get into some of these games here. Not going to review all of them. Maybe just a couple to recap some of the day's events. Now, let's see here. The Colts and Patriots, and it was an absolute abysmal game to watch. I believe I want to watch and keep an eye on the Patriots, not necessarily watching them for enjoyment, but watching them from afar. I think this will be Bill Belichick's last year in New England. So watching how that split is going to occur, I think holds a lot of value as far as intrigue or entertainment, and to possibly see how that happens. Is it going to be a mutual split? Bill Belichick famously gets rid of players 1 year early before 1 year too late. And I think it would be fitting if he basically had the same outcome when it comes to New England. Robert Kraft is probably going to say, he's very classy, probably put out a statement saying it was a joint decision between the two. It's time to move on, blah, blah, blah. So I do think it will be the last year. I mean, they look horrible. And what are you going to do if you're the Patriots? You're going to hire Bill O'Brien in that spot? No. So that should be an interesting coaching vacancy. See who fills that spot, and also to see if Belichick wants to coach again somewhere. Look, I know he's like in his 70s. He could call it quits and enjoy the rest of his life, but I still think he wants to, as Tom Brady did, a second chapter as far as team-wise, and move on and prove yourself somewhere else. I still think he'll, even if he doesn't be or become a head coach of another franchise, he'll at the very least be like a consultant. But he's not a good drafter, does not evaluate talent well, but what he can do well is scheming. And basically, I believe he would be a fantastic consultant, quote unquote, kind of like what Bill Parcells did more recently towards the end of his NFL career. So we just mentioned the Browns beat the Ravens, so the Chiefs got the number one spot in the AFC. The Steelers and Packers game, I did not watch much of that at all. Two teams I have no interest in. Boring. The 49ers absolutely blew out Jacksonville. Surprising at the score. I figured the 49ers were going to win, but they looked absolutely dominant. So we'll see if they can continue, if they're back on track. They do probably have one of the top, one or two rosters as far as personnel in the league. If you go down their roster, Saints not good. They look pretty bad. Josh Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings actually look really good. So it'll be interesting to see how Josh Dobbs does for the remainder of the year. I'm assuming they're going to draft a quarterback this year. Vikings in this upcoming year's draft, and see how that goes. CJ Stroud puts on a masterclass performance once again. So in beating the Bengals on just a wonderful performance. He's putting on a show. Now, there's been a lot of talk about him becoming an MVP candidate, and I guess I agree with that. He can be a candidate, and I would not vote for him if I did have a vote, and it's simply because he's on a shitty team. I don't believe a 500 football team, assuming they finish 500, look, they could be on a roll. They are technically a wild card in the playoffs, but they do sit at right around 500, I believe. And I just don't believe if you go back in history, I don't believe they've given a MVP award to anybody on a 500 football team. Now, I may be wrong. Barry Sanders, who broke the rushing record, might have gotten the MVP on a decent or so-so team. But in today's age, where it goes to typically the best quarterback on the best team, um, you know, I doubt they'll give it to CJ Stroud. Now he'll win all the other awards, rookie offensive player of the year and whatever else they have. But right now at this moment, I can't tell you who my number one MVP choice would be, but I will tell you probably comes down to either Patrick Mahomes or um, I would say Lamar Jackson, but he's not having that good of a year. Let's see who else. Probably maybe Jalen Hurts. Now I'll look. We're in the halfway point. When once we get, probably in a few more weeks, we'll really start to discuss that and debate that. But I probably have Mahomes and probably Jalen Hurts at the top of my list, with Lamar Jackson being a third, and then probably a fourth, just for shits and giggles. I'll throw CJ Stroud in there, even though I don't expect him to win. Again, typically goes to the best record and most valuable, because look, if you're Mahomes, I did look up the stats last night. The Chiefs do not have, as far as statistics, do not have a wide receiver in the top 60 of the whole NFL. Now, their receiver with the best stats is the 63rd best wide receiver in the NFL. Texans have three wide receivers in the top 60 as far as statistics. So they are playing with better talent on other teams. Mahomes, they have the number one AFC spot in the whole, one of the best records in the league, and he's throwing to nobody. And when he does throw to them, is not a given they'll catch the ball. So he's playing with far less talent, and they still have one of the best records in the National Football League. So that is the definition of a value player, right? He makes everybody better, because check this out. If you take Mahomes off of the Chiefs, I honestly believe we're sitting at about 4 wins, right? 3 or 4 wins, under 500. So you're looking at that much of a difference. So that's the definition of a valuable player. So I think Mahomes is sitting on top of the MVP race right now as we begin it. I guess at the midway point. Titans and Bucks, not real much interest there. Lions continue their really surprising season. I guess it's a surprise to some, but to some it's not. Look, they have a lot of good pieces on that team. We will have to see. Every year there's a team that just, has a breakout year, and they'll, make it to the playoffs, obviously, and deep into the playoffs, and we'll have to see. Now, I think a healthy Lions team will lose to a healthy Philly team or a healthy 49ers team. I think it's going to be the Eagles and the 49ers in the end for the NFC. But we will see. We will see how that goes. The Lions keep it rolling, beat the Chargers in a wonderful game. Kyler Murray shows up and shows out. He returns from his ACL tear and gets the win over the Falcons. Looked pretty good too. Looked like he's back to his old self, which is good to see. Cowboys blow out the Giants. I think we all expected the Cowboys to win. Didn't think it was going to be by that much, but they did get the win. They look good. Seahawks beat the Commanders. The Raiders beat the Jets. And I sure hope the Raiders can win. Now, as a Chiefs fan, look, whenever I'm not a Raiders fan. Let me put that out there. I'm just saying I am rooting for Antonio Pierce to get that head coaching position. If you're an owner in the NFL, yeah, I was thinking yesterday, it's got to suck. I just suck to constantly be in that position like the Raiders are in, or like the Jets, right? You're like, it seems like every other year you go through you're firing a head coach, and you have to go through the whole process of hiring a new coach, interviewing people, getting references. Now you got to pay off the coach you fired. You got to give a new contract to the coach you hire. And it's got to be just a painstaking uh, process to go through every couple years. I mean, I really hope he gets the position for the Raiders. And Antonio Pierce, it looks like the players are really playing for him. You could tell there's a spark. I did watch some of the game. Um, so we will see how they play for the rest of the year. I do believe, look, if they can win the majority of their games, right? So if they win more games than they lose in the second half of the year and they put some good performances out there, I do think they will stick with Antonio Pierce. Maybe you just give him a 2 or 3 year contract and just kind of a show me contract. I think he needs, if you show signs of life with this Raiders team moving forward, I think he deserves a chance, a full season, a full off season, a full draft to see what he can do, right? Um, I strongly believe that. So I hope he gets that position. And for the Jets, what a mess. What a mess. Zach Wilson looks horrible. Robert Saleh with the fake beard looks ridiculous. I mean, what are we doing? Like that's the other thing. Is Robert Saleh really concerned about the way he looks? I would think if you're in that much disarray, if you're losing that much, why are you concerned about the way you look? You need to be spending every second, every minute in the building, watching film, talking to players, talking to coaches, talking to scouts, breaking down film of the opposing team. Like, why are you? And he's on a commercial too, like a Just for Men. Now, let me put it out there. I'm a Just for Men user now. As you can tell, I haven't used it recently, but I use Just for Men. But I'm not a head coach of a football team. I think that's a bad look for him. Like, I just, uh, not smart, right? Just, it's not a good look. It makes it look like you're trying to audition for a role on a pregame show on Fox or CBS, or you know what I'm saying? Like what are you doing? Like I saw him the other day and I'm like, what the hell? He's got a bald head and he's got a beard like I do, but it is jet black, like blacker than this microphone. I mean, it is black, and then it doesn't really match. It just looks weird. But he'll probably get fired, and who knows? I don't know what the hell they got going on there. Aaron Rodgers said he's shooting for a mid-December return from an Achilles tear in week 1. So I don't know what's going on with that team. It looks like they're not making the playoffs, but we'll follow, I guess, and see what happens. But and the Bills game, which we just hit on a little earlier. But let me bring in Coop, and we will go over this weekend's games and our picks of the week.